KTN Weekend Prime.
Wanted for terror. Police release images of accomplices of the Westgate attack. Top Al-Qaeda leader nabbed as U.S. elite forces strike terror cells in Libya and Somalia. Plus, 2 killed in dawn raid by cattle rustlers in Samburu. And just what is killing residents of Marsabit? KTN's Inside Story reveals shocking details. Welcome to KTN Weekend Prime, this first Sunday of the month of October. We're glad you joined us. My name is Yvonne Okwara, and as you can see, I'm joined by my co-anchor. He's at the bottom of your screen, William Silla, who's our sign language interpreter today. We want to make sure all our bulletins are inclusive to all Kenyans, those who can hear and those who cannot. Tonight on KTN Weekend Prime, the deaf will hear and participate in our bulletins. Now, just a quick reminder, tonight we will not have your favorite talk show Checkpoint, and this is to give way for Dennis Onsarigo's investigative piece, Death in the Desert, taking a look at just what is happening to the residents of Marsabit, and that is an investigative, riveting piece that you do not want to miss. So today, Checkpoint will take a break, but it will definitely be back next weekend. Let's start off with the top stories tonight first. Police have offered a 500,000 shilling reward for information leading to the arrest of the owners of a vehicle that was used by the Westgate Mall terrorists. The police are also searching for 2 men said to have paid for the purchase of this vehicle early last month. And as Ben Kitile reports, it is believed that these 2 men could still be in Nairobi.
As police continue the search for answers in relation to the Westgate terror attack 2 weeks ago, it is emerging that the Anti-Terror Police Unit, ATPU, is chasing a lead to nab 2 more suspects. Police are looking for this man, Abdikadir Haret Mohammed, alias Mohammed Hussein, a light-skinned man of Somali origin who police say speaks fluent Kiswahili and is suspected to be from Mandera. The other suspect is Aidan Dek, alias Hussein Abdi, alias Abdullahi Dugon Subo, who is dark, about 5'5", and whose Kiswahili is not so fluent. Police obtained CCTV footage of the 2 men entering the Barclays Bank of Kenya along Mamangina Street in Nairobi on the 6th of September this year. They were going to make payment to purchase this car, a grey Mitsubishi Lancer Saloon registration number KAS 575X. This is the vehicle that was used to ferry the terrorists to the Westgate shopping mall on the 21st of September. Police investigations have proven that the 2 suspects could still be within Nairobi and have called on anyone with any information on their whereabouts to contact the police. Inspector General of Police David Kimayo has put up a 500,000 shilling bounty for anyone who provides information that will lead to their capture. Meanwhile, police in Mombasa are interrogating 3 people suspected to be harboring suspicious motives, according to the police, which could be linked to terrorism. One of the suspects forced his car into a crowded Kongwea market using the exit door, defying orders from the security officers manning the gate.
Nilifika hapa, kasikia jamaa ameambiwa sauti kidogo. Fungua buti, akakataa kufungua buti.
The other suspect was allegedly blocking the exit of the Mombasa City Fire Station, apparently to stop the fire engines to leave the premises in case of an emergency or fire. The 2 incidents occurred at the same time. It was later established that the 2 suspects had taken residence in the same hotel in Mombasa for a couple of days. The rest come at a time when the country is still in shock over the Westgate terror attack, where at least 67 people were killed. Ben Kitili, KTN.
Now, staying on the war on terror, one of the most sought-after terrorists in the world is now a captive under the United States government. Anas al-Libi is linked to the 1998 bombings in Kenya and Tanzania and was arrested after 18 years on the run. And while we stay on that, the United States Navy SEAL team launched an attack on an Al-Shabaab hideout along the Somali coast in a mission linked to the Westgate Mall terror attack. Betty Callow now reports.
In a stealthy seaside assault of powerful flecks of military muscle, the U.S. Navy SEAL team swam ashore in the southern Somalia town of Barawe, where they launched an attack aimed at capturing what they described as a high-value target from the Al-Qaeda offshoot Al-Shabaab. According to the Pentagon, the attack that took place Saturday saw an unknown number of SEALs approach the seafront villa before engaging in an hour-long battle. However, the raid by members of SEAL Team 6, the same unit that killed Al-Qaeda leader Osama bin Laden in 2011, was aborted before it could confirm that it had killed the Al-Shabaab leader after a fierce fire exchange between the militants and the troops.
And those members of Al-Qaeda and other terrorist organizations literally can run, but they can't hide. We will continue to try to bring people to justice in an appropriate way, with hopes that ultimately these kinds of activities against everybody in the world will stop. But we all are very, very grateful to those in the armed forces of the United States who conducted these operations. We thank them. We're glad they're safe. And we're pleased with the results of that operation.
Reports indicate that the attack was planned a week ago, and it was prompted by the Westgate Mall attack in Nairobi that killed at least 67 people and left more than 170 injured. Within hours of the Somalia attack, the U.S. Army's Delta Force carried out a raid in Libya's capital, Tripoli, and captured this man. A Libyan Al-Qaeda leader by the name Anas al-Libi, wanted for the 1998 bombings of the U.S. embassies in Kenya and Tanzania that killed more than 220 people. Al-Libi is reported to have been captured by U.S. forces as he came out of his car to enter his house in the capital. However, as much as Anas al-Libi's capture is considered as a major achievement in the war against terror, it is just the tip of the iceberg, as a number of high-profile terrorists, including Al-Qaeda de facto leader Ayman al-Zawahiri and Al-Shabaab leader Ahmed Godane, are still at large, believed to be behind major terrorism activities. Betty Callow, KTN.
Now, they survived the Westgate attack and lived to tell the tale. And that's not all. Two men who shared a small chimney to hide from the terrorists now share a deeper bond born of their trauma. Ashimulu has that story for us now.
While the Westgate tragedy left many Kenyans with a sense of terror and trauma, there have undoubtedly been some silver lining from this incident that shocked Kenya to the core. For two Westgate survivors, the most unlikely of relationships was born from the terror attack. 2, 3, and... Justo Otieno, a music teacher at Premier Academy in Nairobi, can now afford to sing and dance. But just 2 weeks ago, his life was hanging in the balance. On that fateful Saturday, Justo was on his way to the Westgate rooftop to offer moral support to one of his pupils, a participant at the children's cookery competition. The same rooftop where there was a mass slaughter by the terrorists of a huge number of children, women, and men. But one phone call from his friend delayed his plans for the event.
As I'm walking towards Nakumat, I decided, because of the noise, somebody told me go to the washroom, it's more quiet. I was in the ground floor, so I actually went into the washroom. And we opened the first door, second, and that's when I was finishing my conversation. All this time I'm just talking to him. So I hung up my call. As I'm just picking my bag to leave, another group of men, like around 10, it was a very huge number of men who walked in, and everyone began ducking inside the toilet booth. As the second door at the washroom is closing, that's when I hear the grenade. And the radio that was playing in the washroom goes quiet. there's this silence, and then gunshots. It's like very sporadic shots, and everyone is. I didn't hear any screams from I could hear the gunshots, but no screams, not even one. So at which point a security guard comes in, removing his uniform, and he shouted at me in Kiswahili, tunashambuliwa, we're being attacked.
That was the moment it occurred to Justo that the situation inside the mall was worse than he had initially thought. But all the cubicles in the washroom were full of terrified men, and none would allow him and the security guard in.
There was a small opening that was leading to the ceiling. So we convinced each other that this could be, I think, our best chance of surviving, because whatever is out there and it's coming, it's going to reach the ocean. That's what we were saying. A few minutes passed, the gunshots are becoming worse. You're hearing more grenades. Fear comes in, and we even begin realizing this thing is big, so we cannot continue hiding in that space. So he goes up fast. We step on some railings. He goes up. I push him. I had to remove my belt to also go through that. It was like 2 pipes, so you have to like squeeze yourself in. Then he lay on one pipe, I lay on the other. After around 4 to 5 hours, 2 guys walk into the washroom. They go for the sink. These guys walk out, so I see the 2 of them walking out, and then they come in later, like seconds later, and shoot in a tear gas canister. So all the men who are in the cubicles actually now run for the taps. They are coughing and choking, but you just saw, I could hear everyone is running out. And then there was a silence. And then the tear gas began coming up towards us, the ceiling. I tapped at the security and I told him, let's go down. I think we're going to choke to death. He didn't respond. That's when I think adrenaline came in. So I came down, and then as I'm pulling the door open, there are double doors. I pull the first door, I see blood. I wanted to peep and see whether this area down here is clear. And when I peeped, I saw, I could see that, just bodies, like you see somebody's laying down here. The one image which I remember was a mom there's a lady who had laid down and the child was on top. As I'm just wanting to take another step, a guy shouts at me, "What are you doing? What are you doing?" That's when I noticed him. He was actually kneeling at the west gate entrance, at the gate, but shooting, as in pointing towards the exit, towards where I was coming from. So I looked, I saw, what guys are calling the Arafat. He had this Arafat and he was kneeling. And he shouted at me 2 times, shaking his gun. He didn't fire, not even 1 shot. And so, quickly, that's when the whole terrorism thing comes in. I realized these are terrorists. So I hide back. I knew going back to the ocean would be a bad idea, not only for me, but also for that guy, should he still be alive. And I just walked slowly and I made that right turn. The famous right turn. I think everyone who was being rescued used to come from there. So I turn and I see GSU officers. My heart was so relieved.
Justo was relieved to have narrowly escaped death, but a dark cloud hung around his head. He was worried about the security guard he had left inside the mall. So he set out to the security company to look for him. All he could remember was the guard's terrified face, because they didn't have time to introduce themselves.
So he's brought to the office. We look at each other in the HR's office. We stare at each other for like 3-5 seconds. We ask each other the same question. How did you make it out? He also asked, how did I make it out? And we've become very good friends since.
Dozens of those who were inside the mall during the attack hid together in desperation. Friends, family, and even total strangers. Some survived the attack. Others were not so lucky. But at the end of it all, those that shared the terrifying experience, like Justo the music teacher and Cornelius the security guard, will forever have a unique common bond, born of a moment of terror. Ashemwilu, KTN, Nairobi.
A bond and kinship brought out of terror. Truly inspiring indeed. Thank you very much, Asha Mwilu, for that. Let's move away from matters of terror and on to others. Police at the Jomo Kenyatta International Airport have arrested a national with narcotics valued at more than 4 million shillings. The 34-year-old man was en route to Benin from Sao Paulo, Brazil on Saturday night when he was detained by officials from the anti-narcotics unit. The man was held in an observation room and has since then emitted at least 48 pellets. Police say they are yet to run tests of the drugs, though they suspect it could be cocaine. Airport CID boss Joseph Ngisa said up to 10 cases of drug trafficking have been detected in the past 4 months. President Uhuru Kenyatta has publicly declared an all-out war on drugs and drug barons. Now, tension is high in Suyan area in Samburu County after armed bandits raided a manyatta, killing 2 people and injuring 3 others. The bandits then fled with 400 head of cattle and over 1,000 goats and sheep.
At the Maralal District Hospital in Samburu County, 3 latest casualties of the rampant cases of banditry in Baragoi's Suyan village are receiving treatment. According to residents, armed bandits raided the manyattas at night, killing 2 people, a 43-year-old man and a 16-year-old boy.
Zaidi ya bunduki 50 siko katika mikono ya wakora ambao wanatoka banda wa Turkana. Ilhali hakuna kitu wanafanya. Tungependa kumuuliza Lelengu kama amechundwa na usalama, basi ajiusulu na wacha tupate mtu mwingine ambaye anaweza kupeana usalama katika wananchi wa Samburu.
According to residents, the bandits were in 2 groups. One group fled with 400 heads of cattle to Marti, while the other group fled towards Lemerok with over 1,000 goats and sheep.
Serikali angalie hiyo. Halafu ile serikali iko mahali pita natokea. Anafanya nini hapo na amejaa hiyo maruruko yote. Makambi zimebeanwa na wananchi ya kaunti ya Samburu. Na watu wanakaa. Sasa hii adui anapita hiyo makambi yote, anaenda kuua wananchi ambayo innocent anachunga mali yao. Na sheria anasema serikali jukumu yake ni kuchunga mwananchi na mali yake.
Back at the Manyattas, it is all silent. Families have already fled their homes in fear of another attack. There has been a series of bandit attacks in the area in the last few months. Residents claim security officers have not intensified their patrols, even with the escalation of such conflicts, largely fueled by the prevailing dry spell in Samburu. Angel Katuse, KTN.
Right, let's now move on to other stories and former Prime Minister Raila Odinga. And I think before we do that, we need to take a break. Yes, I'm informed we do need to take a commercial break. We'll be back with lots more stories, including that one of the former Prime Minister as he launches his autobiography. All of that after the break next. Raila's Tell It All book.
Those members of Al-Qaeda and other terrorist organizations literally can run, but they can't hide. We will continue to try to bring people to justice in an appropriate way with hopes that ultimately these kinds of activities against everybody in the world will stop. But we all are very, very grateful to those in the armed forces of the United States who conducted these operations. We thank them. We're glad they're safe, and we're pleased with the results of that operation.
You are watching KTN Weekend Prime.
Welcome back. You're watching KTN Weekend Prime. Now, former Prime Minister Raila Odinga's autobiography, The Flame of Freedom, has been officially launched. The 37-chapter book chronicles the life and times of Raila Odinga from his early childhood to his tenure as Prime Minister and what he terms the African dream. The autobiography was launched by former Nigerian President Olusegun Obasanjo. Speaking during the launch at the KICC, Raila said it was necessary to be critical of some individuals in the book to help put things in perspective.
I'd like to also... This is an enduring legacy you are leaving for the young ones. This is a chronicle of events as I remember them. But as you know that there are sometimes memory lapses, and therefore if you see something that I've recorded which may not be quite correct, you will of course please forgive.
Former President Daniel Moi has called for the expansion of the existing educational infrastructure to cater for the growing population. Moi spoke at the Kabarak Chapel as he attended prayers for KCPE and KCSE candidates who will sit their national examinations this month. Apart from encouraging this year's candidates, Moi also called on parents to support their children and pray for them. Speaking at the same event, Inspector General David Kimayo reiterated Kenyans need to be vigilant and share information with security agents to support their efforts to ensure Kenya's security.
Many parents are frightened, they don't know what to do, but imagine that at home, every home in Kenya, you have sons and daughters in one home. Why should we separate them? Kabarak believes that we should not separate them. They should continue building Kenya as it should be. I have trusted them and they have behaved very well. And I thank the students of Kabarak for doing what they have done in the past.
In other news, teachers in Kilgoris are calling for better education facilities for pupils with special needs. And in Taita Taveta, elephants wreak havoc, disrupting learning in parts of the county. Hear the details next.
As the world marks International Teachers' Day, teachers in Kilgoris Primary School say they have nothing to celebrate, saying pupils with special needs in the school lack basic educational facilities. The teachers have now appealed to the Ministry of Education to allocate funds for such schools to be able to buy assistive learning devices for special needs children. In Isiolo, a woman who suffered burns on her face after she was allegedly scalded by her husband with hot water has been discharged from hospital and is now pleading with her runaway husband to come back home with her children. The woman is also pleading for help from women's rights groups to protect her and other women who experience violent relationships. Meanwhile, in Taita Taveta County, education has ground to a halt in parts of the county as teachers and students live in fear of confrontation with elephants while making their way to school. Teachers are pleading with KWS and other stakeholders to ensure learning is not disrupted by elephants, which usually leave the park and walk around residential homes and trading centers, causing damage and fear among residents. In Nairobi, the Redeemed Gospel Church welcomed their new presiding bishop, Kefa Omai, who takes over from Arthur Kitonga, who has been elevated to the position of Archbishop of the Redeemed Gospel Church. The incoming bishop was consecrated in a colorful ceremony attended by thousands at the church's Huruma parish. Still in Nairobi, a tree at the Nairobi showgrounds fell, injuring 6 people, 2 with serious head injuries. Dagoretti Deputy OCPD Evans Wanyonyi confirmed the incident, saying the injured are nursing their wounds at the Kenyatta National Hospital. Charity Kimani, KTN.
You're watching KTN Weekend Prime. I want to take another short breather now, but we'll be back with lots more for you. Please do stay with us. Welcome back. Let's have a recap for you now of our top story tonight. And police have offered a 500,000 shilling reward for information leading to the arrest of the owners of a vehicle that was used by the Westgate Mall terrorists. This comes as the anti-terror police unit is searching for 2 men said to have paid for the purchase of this vehicle on the 6th of September, just 15 days before the Westgate terror attack. It is believed that these 2 men could still be in Nairobi. One of them is said to be fluent in Swahili, while the other is not as fluent. Both men are said to be of Somali origin. Meanwhile, police in Mombasa are holding 3 men suspected to have ill intentions. 2 of the men were arrested when they attempted to force their car into the Kongowea public market, while the 3rd suspect was arrested in Changamwe. Right, and like we've been telling you this evening, Checkpoint will take a break, but this is because we want to turn our focus on what is happening to the residents of Marsabit. Chemicals were left behind, and the residents of Marsabit have been going through hardships. As you can see, there are rising cases of cancer in Marsabit County, and tonight, KTN's Dennis Onsarigo is delving into this matter to give us more answers on just what is happening with our brothers and sisters in Marsabit County. You don't want to miss this. All of this will be coming to you right after this bulletin when we're done with the sports news. So please do stay with us for this very important investigative piece. Short break now. We want to bring you the sports news in just a bit.
Chaga wins Kenya National Rally Championship following his win in Naivasha.
You are watching KTN Weekend Prime.
Here's the latest in the world of sports now, and Baldev Chaga is the Kenya National Rally Series champion after crowning it all with an impressive outing in the 13th KCB Guru Nanak Rally that was held in Naivasha. Chaga needed to finish in the top 10 drivers to clinch the title, and he did it in style.
Baldev Chaga could have crowned an impressive season, but all was not easy for him in Naivasha. The win did not come on a silver platter as he was pushed all the way by Carl Flash Tundo. It was one of the toughest and challenging rally. The poor conditions of the road coupled with swirling dust forced many of the drivers to drop off in the event that attracted tens of rally lovers. Organizers had to scrap off some of the sections after several cars got stuck in the dust. Despite the push and pull, Chaga came out unscathed.
The rocks have been just being brought onto the road. You can't tell the tracks that we drove on in the morning are completely different now in the afternoon. So we've taken it easy, carefully. We still managed to damage a little bit, but thank God we're still here.
Others had to retire early as their cars developed mechanical problems. For KTN Weekend Prime Sports, I'm Hassan Juma.
Eric Ndiema emerged victorious at his marathon debut at the Eldoret Family Bank Half Marathon with an impressive time of 62 minutes, 55.4 seconds. In the ladies category, Mercy Kibarus emerged victorious in a time of 70 minutes and 51 seconds, ahead of World Half Marathon bronze winner Pascalia Chepkorir.
Held in the street of Eldoret, regular runners continue providing color in the event. New upstars saw the show by obliterating big names. Eric Ndiema made his debut in the half marathon with a display of great talent after overcoming stiff competition from more than 700 runners. The self-coached 10 runner clocked an impressive 62 minutes, 55.4 seconds to announce his presence in the distance event that has become a lifeline for many Kenyans.
Leo haikuwa rahisi vile. Ilikuwa ngumu. The challenges is that milima kidogo alafu makona ndio ilikuwa sharp.
The hotly contested men race with 755 participants also ushered in a 20-year-old Lawi Kiptui and another new catch Daniel Kipto into the limelight. In the ladies category, police officer Mercy Kibaruls ruled. Kibaruls traces the lead with the half-marathon bronze winner Priska Chepkoril and 2011 winner Agnes Chebet before breaking away after the 18th kilometer. Mercy Kibarus, who's the reigning Safaricom Baringo half-marathon champion, beat more than 100 women to clinch the title in a new course record of 70 minutes, 51 seconds. Moses Swahisi, KTN Sports.
The Standard Group Golf Series has continued to attract a pool of upcoming golfers in the country. Now, this weekend, the series moved to the coastal region. The event attracted golfers from the hosting club, Mombasa, Leisure in Kwale County, Kilifi County's Vipingo Ridge and Malindi Golf Clubs. The Classic was launched with its first leg played at the Thika Sports Club course on August the 31st, with the second leg being played at the Eldoret Golf Course on September the 7th, the third leg being played at Royal, and last weekend was the fourth leg played at Kakamega Golf Course. From Nyali, the event moves to Nakuru Golf Club, Nyeri, Machakos, the Lakeside Nyanza course before the culmination of the grand finale scheduled for December the 7th at the Par 71 Muthaiga Golf Course right here in Nairobi. And now we want to leave you with that story. Now, like we said, tonight is the inside story, and speculation abounds over the cause of the rising cases of cancer in Karigi area of Marsabit County. Now, a team sent to investigate the cause of this recent prevalence has not revealed its findings. Tonight, we leave you with a special report that interrogates the possible cause of what may well be a death sentence for the people in this part of Marsabit. Dennis Onsarigo will be here shortly with the desert of death right after this break. Good night for now. We'll see you tomorrow.